Hey seekers, so glad to see you. Thanks for joining me. I'm out here right now at the Cradle Creek Preserve in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. It's a really beautiful place. And as I was getting ready to start, look who joined me. Can you see the big bird right above my head? That is a beautiful pair of wood storks. There's one over in the tree a little further. And wood storks are an endangered species that live right here in Jacksonville. Sometimes you see them flying way in the sky. They look ginormous because they are ginormous. They're storks, so they stand really tall on some really tall legs. Gonna have to excuse me, but I'm out here feeding the little no-see-ums right here because I wanted you guys to get to experience this really beautiful place. Has a hiking trail through the woods that is second to none. Beautiful. So what we're going to talk about is eco services first. Eco, eco, eco. We keep using that word. What does that mean? It means it has anything to do with the environment. So when you hear ecology, ecosystems, eco services, any of those things, then you know it has to do with the environment. Well, today I'm going to point out just a few, and eco services are the things that we get that help us survive, that we get from the environment. And the first, here's a dock. Okay, so we use that. Building materials, obviously, from trees. And our paper comes from trees. Our clothes, just like the hat on my head. See the seeker's hat? Seeking environmental education with kids in exciting and relevant settings. That hat is made of a plant. And so we depend on lots and lots of things. So we've talked about what we get from the earth. But I want to teach you more today about how cool it is, about how the things out here live together in ecosystems. And so, system makes me think, there's a school system, there's a hospital system, I have like a circulatory system in my body, pumps the blood. So those are all things where, I disturbed him. He flew. Sorry. Anyway, systems are things that work together to make something happen. And the environment does the same thing. And so those systems we call ecosystems. And some people call them habitats. They're very much alike. Don't quote me on that, but ecosystems right here, standing in the salt marsh, which is like a giant filter for our continent. Look at that. You see all that beautiful grass? Our salt marshes are responsible for cleaning the water that comes off of our entire continent before it enters out into the ocean. You know, the ocean, the big cool thing that's right next to us off Jacksonville Beach. That's the Atlantic Ocean, by the way. And we have a lot of eco services that come from the ocean. We eat the fish. So many people's jobs depend on the ocean. Today I was reading about how things work together, and did you know that plankton in the ocean create most of the oxygen in our world? You know, oxygen like we have to breathe. Isn't that amazing? You know what else creates oxygen for us and for other living things? Are all these plants. So these plants that you see are working right now, and through their photosynthesis, where they use the sunlight and they take in the carbon dioxide that we don't like. It's bad. They use the sunlight and the carbon dioxide and the water and the nutrients from the soil, and they produce energy, and they release, like we breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants breathe out oxygen. How crazy is that? So what we breathe out, they breathe in. Who knew a tree breathed? Hey, let me tell you something. This tree right here, that tree is not breathing anymore. It's not breathing anymore. But that tree is another great example of an ecosystem that's right here. Right here. Who knew that a big dead tree was so important? So lots of things are living, and depending on that dead tree, the larger things, you just saw the big cool wood stork that uses that as his roost at night, and they have to have a safe place to roost high up in the tree like that because they can't defend themselves against any of a fox could get him, a person could get him, Believe it or not, we have some coyotes around here. And some of the smaller birds that roost up in the trees are also in danger. Da-da-da. From bobcats. I saw a bobcat recently and they're super cool. Okay, back to the ecosystem on the tree. So it provides the roost for the bird, right? And look at it. See how it's rotting? Inside, making that happen, decomposing that tree and turning it into the beautiful mud that's going to grow another tree or grow some more of that beautiful marsh grass. Inside that tree are the decomposers like fungi, tomato, beetles, worms. What? And guess what? I was reading as I was preparing and learning about more ecosystems. I was learning that if you really think about it, those little tiny organisms that a lot of times we don't even see are really what we depend on to make the rest of the world happen. Because without plants, animals can't happen. And so without those decomposers that create the dirt for that tree to grow in, we wouldn't have plants. So how neat is that? How it works together, works together. And the other thing that uses that is a raccoon for a home. A lot of times woodpeckers, let's see if this was, you can see actually on this one, you can see where a woodpecker has started drilling his hole. And it's probably a male and a female, and many of them mate for life, which I think is pretty cool. And they are preparing that hole so that in the spring, which is getting here pretty quickly, they will build their nest inside that tree, and the female will lay her eggs and make more woodpeckers, which we have a really cool woodpecker here called the pileated woodpecker, and it's ginormous. He's so big and he sounds like some kind of crazy, like, jungle animal. Listen, that wasn't it, but it was something cool. So anyway, maybe we'll hear one if we're lucky, because I saw one flying in earlier. So look how beautiful this is. Wait a minute. Back to the eco service. Did I mention that an eco service that we don't always talk about is just the fact of how nature and the environment makes us feel better? And so I'm going to recommend to all of you, doesn't matter where you live, to go outside and find some nature. Go outside. You don't have to, your family can come here, but you don't have to come to places like this to enjoy nature. You can enjoy nature anywhere there is a tree. Just go look at that one tree. If your yard only has one tree in it, go hang out with that tree. You'll be amazed at the ecosystem that you're seeing all in that tree. And different kinds of trees have different kinds of ecosystems. The oak trees, which are these big dead ones that we're seeing here. And then we have some dead palm trees in the way back. They're all used a little differently, but it's all very, very important to make it all happen. And without all of these things working together, we wouldn't work together. And so that's why I was telling you that to learn about the environment is to learn about what should matter to us. And all, not just because of the good things we can get from it, like wood and clothes and medicine. Do you know that medicine, lots of medicines, come from plants? Penicillin is made from plants. Let's see, look it up. Penicillin is made from a plant. And so that's another just example of things that we can get from the environment that we should make us appreciate where we live and take care of it. Here's a really cool ecosystem. Come here. What? What? Oh, look at that. Let's see, hold on. Those are oysters growing in the bottom of this tidal creek. Tidal means that it comes in with the high tide and it gets higher. So you see all the black mud? All that disappears at high tide. The only thing out that you can see out here at high tide is the top parts of the grasses. As a matter of fact, you can kind of tell where the mud lines are to let you know how high the high tide gets out here. But right now, the tide is going out and it's getting lower. and it's actually exposing some of those oysters. And those oysters are important. A lot of our water birds depend on those to eat, in addition to the little fish that are swimming around down there. See that? Oysters are so amazing. Oh, my favorite eco service from an oyster is that they can make a pearl. And I love pearls. I think they're so cool. So here's what happens. An oyster is a filter feeder, which means it doesn't have a mouth or teeth, obviously, right? So glad. Wouldn't want to hang out down there with something with big teeth. Anyway, oysters use a filtration system in their body called the mantle, and water flows through there. And as you can see, the water has a bunch of silt and all kinds of little teeny things inside the water that comes out into that mantle, into that filter, and that's where he gets his nutrients that he needs, because you know everybody needs that. Well, sometimes, very rarely, which is why I think it's cool, a teeny tiny grain of sand can get in that mantle of an oyster and get stuck. And it gets stuck in there and it irritates it. And so the oyster starts wrapping that grain of sand with that white material that later becomes a pearl. And over years and years, that something that was aggravating that oyster turned into something beautiful, which I think that's pretty neat. Sometimes in life, I think we ought to do that more often, is take some of these little things in life that are aggravating us and figure out a way how to make it good. There's always a way. Back to the palm tree, or the one tree that you might have in your yard. If you go out there and you look at that one tree and you look for something and you decide, I'm going to find something beautiful on this tree. I'm going to find something cool on this tree. I promise it's there. If you go outside today and you say, oh, whatever, I'm just going to go on down and do my normal stuff, then you're going to miss the tree. And you're going to miss all the beautiful things in our environment that not only sustain us physically, but they, oh, look. I love sunset because that's when the critters are coming out. Hold on. Our wood storks. All right, I'm going to try not to walk off the edge of the deck. I don't know if you can see the two white things, but they're right around the corner of that creek. So they're going to go down there and eat their dinner. You know what? I think they they perched on those really high trees and they watched until they knew that the coast was clear. And it was safe to come down. Can y'all hear the marsh hens? They're very shy. And they live down here and they eat those oysters and they eat the little fish. That's their little ecosystem, how it's all working together. And they sometimes eat some seeds from the grass, and then they poop. Yeah, they poop, just like you poop. They poop, and that's what's making that beautiful mud down there. And in their poop is a seed, and it grows another beautiful piece of marsh grass. And then that beautiful piece of marsh grass holds on to that black ucky mud that's made out of nutrients from the continent that it has filtered. It's made out of the poop, and it's made out of anything that ends up in our water around here. So be careful about that. But it's important. And that marsh grass that lives in that mud is holding on to that mud to keep it from washing away. And you can see, oh, let's check out our people. See if they found some more things to eat. Not our people, our wood storks. I call them that because they remind me of little old men. Wish we could get closer. So we'll hang here for a little bit, continue talking. And feeding the no-see-ums. Oh, hey, we were talking about how we can use things from nature. Sometimes the chemical that's in a leech, wait, yeah, we already talked about that. Do you remember? talked about it a while back, how weird things like leeches in the environment help us. Yep. Has that chemical in it, you know, that goes into your blood and makes your blood thinner, keeps it from clotting. They use it in surgeries sometimes. That's pretty cool, isn't it? All right, now, in the distance, you can kind of hear him. He's in those trees back there. There's a great barred owl. He's so cool. He's ginormous. He's ginormous. Oh, sorry. Disturbed dinner. All right, we're gonna keep on that bird right there because they are so pretty when they fly. Anyway, look at there. The great barred owl that lives in that tree is on the top of the food chain out here, that's for sure. And his little ecosystem, he likes those really tall pine trees. Really tall pine trees because they're the tallest, right? And so he's gonna sit up there in that pine tree, and then when the sun finishes going down, he's gonna use his insanely strong night vision to fly around and start looking for his dinner, because they are nocturnal and they hunt throughout the night, just like the raccoons. Yeah, lots of things are gonna start coming out here. As a matter of fact, those woods I'm about to hike through is an ecosystem of night animals that I probably should start walking that way. I'm not scared, I'm just teasing you, because I love the environment and I love being out in the fresh air and feeding the no-see-ums. Goodbye, no-see-ums. Goodbye, marsh. You're beautiful. Thank you for the time. Okay, so we're gonna walk back through the woods. There are other people here too, and they're enjoying this beautiful place. Another day, we're gonna spend a whole time on trees because I'm a tree freak. Not a tree hugger, tree freak. That means I love them like crazy. Oh my golly, let me show you something cool. Look at this tree. First of all, look how beautiful it is. It looks like a piece of art. And look, I don't know if it's burned. So that's probably what happened to that tree, is lightning has hit that tree. Look how beautiful. Lots of neat birds use this tree right there for roosting at night. And I can see where the decomposers are at work on this side of the tree. Look at that. So that side has lots more decomposers working on it. And that ecosystem, creating some dirt to help grow a new ecosystem. Gosh, listen. I hear something. What is it? I don't know. But it's getting dark. We're gonna head on. Look how much darker it is in the woods. Oh, maybe because of this canopy that the trees create. And so underneath that canopy means, you know, like a tent, something that's high above everything else. So the canopy in the woods is where a lot of animals stay. Like the owl I was just talking about, that's his ecosystem. Look at this cool one. This is amazing. Right in, look, you thought it was a mud puddle? No, it's not just a mud puddle. That's a whole ecosystem right there. It is growing little baby mosquitoes that are gonna fly around, and then the little bird's gonna eat it. And then, unfortunately, the hawks and the owl. Oh my gosh. I hear him, he's like right here. If I find him, I'll show him to you. Those little birds eat those insects. That's how that ecosystem works together. I wish they would eat more of those no-see-ums. Oh, here's a cool ecosystem. Oh my golly. That is the root ball of a giant tree that has fallen over, and now rainwater, or maybe even tidal water, probably tidal water, has filled it in, and it's full of other plants that have started growing out of it. One of them is that gray plant that you see. That's called Spanish moss. And Spanish moss is cool because it doesn't even need roots to grow. It's a special kind of plant called an air plant. I'm gonna finish up our time with an owl. I'm gonna be quiet for a minute so you can hear him. I just heard something really weird. You can actually hear all the different critters living here in this ecosystem in the woods. Totally different from out on the dock. Totally different. Oh my gosh, there is something. What in the world? What is that? Hold on. Something's up there. In the world. Remember how I told you how important those dead trees are? Look at all the ecosystems and things working together in this tree. We've got the decomposers. See that? Oh, there is a baby something. There's a nest in the top. And it's ginormous, so it's probably an osprey. But there's definitely some cool stuff out here at Cradle Creek Preserve. Definitely some cool stuff. So I hope you enjoyed our lesson today about ecosystems. I've got to finish looking up the tree because there's something cool up there. It's on that branch. Is it? So thank goodness for the ecosystem in that giant tree because it's providing shelter and a nesting place for that beautiful bird. Okay, seekers, so thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed our lesson out here talking about ecosystems, systems in the environment that work together. Look, there's some ladies enjoying the Cradle Creek. They're stopping to look at the creature. We've talked about ecosystems. We talked about eco-services. So don't always just think about what you can get out of the earth and what you can get out of other things. You think about what you can give back. So between now and next time we're together, I want you to really think about how can you live greener. I've done a much better job of washing the things before I recycle them. And what are some other things you can do to make a difference? Not only to the environment, but maybe to the human beings around you as well. All right. Bye, seekers. Thanks for joining me. Keep on seeking.